Welcome to class 2 of secretarial practice. In the last class, we have dealt regarding the features of secretary. And here, we know that how secretary is important for the company and he should be appointed. The company should appoint the secretary in an effective manner. So, here are the appointment points regarding appointment of secretary in an effective way. The appointment of company secretary has a great impact on every stage of company formation. At the time of company formation, secretary is must. So in each and every stages. Okay. So a company should be very careful about the appointment of secretary. So your appointment of company secretary, each public company or public limited company must have one secretary. A company secretary may be appointed in the following ways. So these are the points. In these following ways, we are going to appoint the company secretary. So company secretary may be appointed by the promoters. Company secretary may be appointed by the board of directors. So company secretary may be appointed within the board of directors or it may be the professional secretary. So let's study this point one by one. So the first is promoter. So appointment of secretary by the promoter. So the first secretary of the company is appointed by the promoters at the pre-incorporation stage and such name is mentioned in the articles of association. What does it mean? First understand who is this promoter. So the promoter may be the firm or a person. So who is going to do the preliminary work relating to the formation of company. So it is clearly given, it is pre-incorporation stage, means the company is not still registered or incorporated. So before forming the company or before the company is incorporated, there will be a person who does all the preliminary work. So that person we call him as a promoter. Such name means the name of secretary whom the promoter is going to appoint. So that name will be there in the articles of association. So the articles of association is a document of the company. Okay, so in this articles of association, the name of the protem secretary will be there. So a protem secretary means secretary appointed by the promoters. We call him as protem secretary. So now what does it does? So including its promotion, incorporation, floating, solicits person or people to invite or to invest the money in the company usually when it is been formed. So this is the duty of the protem secretary. So this protem secretary is appointed by the promoters. So in detail, if you want to know who is or what does they do, such appointment is given to assist all the preliminary works of the company incorporation. Okay, then the next is your appointment of secretary by the first board of directors. Okay, so after the company has been registered, so this is after the company has been registered. So what happens? Promoter does all the work relating to the formation of company. So as soon as it gets registered, what he does, he washes hand and gives all his responsibilities to the directors, and usually the promoter themselves become the first director sometimes. Okay, so now the company is been incorporated or registered. So after this, they are going to conduct the first board meeting, and in that first board meeting, the board of directors appoints the secretary at the first board meeting. Okay, So what they do, they are going to appoint the secretary at the first board meeting. Here the board of directors can continue the existing secretary appointed by the promoters, or they can appoint a new secretary. So it is left to the board of directors whether they are going to continue with the pro tem secretary or they are going to appoint the new one. The next, within the board of directors. Okay, so after incorporation, the first board of directors may appoint any of them as a secretary having the required qualification. Here a special resolution needed to be adopted. So what does it says? Suppose one among the board of directors wants to be the secretary. So at that time you have to pass the special resolution. Okay, special resolution should be passed. So company secretary, what happens if there are, normally the public company will have 3 directors. Okay, private company will have only 2 directors. So one among the director, if they want to be the secretary, so that person should have the prescribed qualification, that is CA. Okay, another thing is there should be maximum 2 directors. Okay, so maximum 2 directors. The next is professional secretary. So who is this professional secretary? So professional secretary coordinates the daily routine of an office and organizes the office schedules and paperwork. The secretary's duties require analysis of situation, judgment, technical knowledge and creativity. So number and types of activities secretaries are assigned. So that depends on whether they are generalist or specialist. Okay, so secretaries may use, or secretary use many different talents and works with many different people. So these secretaries are, the board of directors are going to appoint these secretaries. So before or after the incorporation of company. So such secretary may be appointed on part-time or they may be appointed as a full-time secretary. So what do you understand with this? So it clearly says that all these above appointment requires a written agreement of service where the terms and conditions of service, duration of service, nature of service and scope of duties, salary and their allowance, termination, so the method of termination, etc. So these should be described clearly in the written agreement at the time of appointing the secretary. Thank you.